I would like to welcome you all. And it's really, for me, it's fantastic that so many people came to this event, this annual event for our law enforcement. I would like to recognize in particular the many, many police officers that are here today. Thank you for your extremely important work, for your commitment to our security, and in difficult situations most of the time. And looking around in the room, I also see several members of Parliament, of the European Parliament that are present. I want to thank you also for your commitment to contribute for this work. Thank you for being here, dear colleagues. I see representatives of the European Commission, of Europol, and of CEPOL. And I see several colleagues from permanent representations. It's very important because we work together to co-legislate. It's important to have you here as well. I would like to welcome the many people from my party also who came today. En van harte welkom voor jullie. Dankjewel voor jullie aanwezigheid. And a very warm welcome to our speakers. As you see, I have the name tag of Commissioner Magnus Brunner here. He will join later. And as you know, there are many things happening in the world, and there is a meeting within the European Commission today, and when we made this appointment, there was no war yet in Iran. But now there are plenty of new things, so he will join us, but I don't know yet at what time, probably a little bit later. But he is committed to this event, and if the meeting finishes on time, he will join us. And so Magnus Brunner is our Commissioner for Internal Affairs, and we already have a fantastic panel of speakers that are here, and one of us is online. Hi, Peter. I'm so sorry you woke up so early. Peter is in Washington. So we have Donatas Skarnulis, Deputy Commander of the State Border Guard Service of Lithuania. Thank you for being here. We have Colonel Roger Housen, defense expert, author, and speaker from Belgium. Thank you all om hier te zijn. And we have Mr. Peter Wynne from the United States Department of Justice. He will join us online, and he's already here. And for you, I think it's like, very early in the morning. So I promise coffee when the Libe Committee is in DC, the chair will buy you coffee. And of course, we have Mr. Jochen Koppelke, the president of EUPOL, who join us here today as well. And I have the chair of Libe, Mr. Javier Zarzalejos, who is also a good friend that I will give the floors to later. Thank you for joining us as speakers today and from your various expertises and experiences. This annual event is now an important tradition that we share, an important tradition of the European Parliament Intergroup on Police. And together with several colleagues, in particular Lena Dupont, who will join us later. She is from Germany, EPP. Jeroen Leenaars from the EPP as well, from the Netherlands. And Malika Zmani from the Renew Group from the Netherlands as well. We have worked for several years on giving Europe's policemen and women a voice in the European Parliament. In previous years, for example, we organized events on violence against the police and on the attractiveness of police work as a profession. Last year, our event focused on international cooperation in the fight against organized crime and drug trafficking. In Brussels, we experienced the effect of that every day. Now, in the year 2026, what do we see? Well, first of all, the political parties from all four of us as in national governments. We have a prime minister in Belgium, we have a prime minister in Germany, we have now also participation in the government in the Netherlands, and in so many other countries. And in the case of Germany and Belgium, we also provide the government leaders, as I just said. So I think this is strong proof that our political message is resonating well with voters. Thank you all. Thank you, Chiara. With voters, and that people expect us to achieve change. Thank you, Chiara. Because we live in difficult times, weaponization of migration, sabotage of critical infrastructure, illegal drones. I saw them I was in Lithuania, you told us, and we saw the experience as well. Smuggling balloons, forcing airspace closures, cyber attacks. The EU is not directly at war, but no longer at peace either. 4 years after Russia's large-scale invasion of Ukraine, the list of incidents under the broad category of hybrid attacks keeps growing. And the primary focus in our countries, at least in terms of budget, has been the military. Defense budget, yeah, not going to take your money away, don't worry. Defense budgets are doubled and more, and rightly so. The police have not received the same amount of support. but policemen and women are at the forefront of all these developments. This year's Politie Intergroep annual event will focus on the central role of the police in protecting Europe's citizens from all sorts of threats in the rapidly evolving geopolitical landscape. It will highlight the need for the adequate support for police forces and for the integration of internal and external security strategies, and the inclusion of the police in international cooperation to counter hybrid threats. It will investigate what legislative initiatives at European level are needed. As always, we will also make room for the voices of policemen and women to share their experiences of this new reality and ask questions. We will soon hear, as I said earlier, also from our panelists, but first I would like to give the floor to an important friend of this intergroup and of me personally, and Xavier Zarzalegos, who is also the chairman of the European Parliament Committee on Civil Liberties, Justice and Home Affairs. Whenever we discuss the tense situation at the EU's external borders or plans to strengthen Europol, more efficient use of EU databases and better protection of critical infrastructure, it is under his leadership. Dear Javier, I would like to give you the floor, but before doing that, please allow me to thank a couple of people in the room without whom I wouldn't be able to do my job. I would like to thank very much Jannes de Jong. Thank you for all the work you have been doing, and he has been preparing a lot. You can clap for Jannes de Jong. He is really someone I can count on. And I would like to thank all the ladies here who helped as well. Chiara, thank you for the photos, looking forward to them. Anna, for bringing you all in. So, you know, Anna and you can clap for Anna and Chiara as well. Anna, thank you. And I would like, last but not least, I would like to thank Peter. Peter is a policeman. I stole him from you guys, and you know he's here to help me also help you. So he's now joined my team. Thank you very much, Peter, for helping also organize and get everyone in the room. Of course, I didn't even need to ask. And I thank the social media team who are here, and I would like to thank Delphine Schelper for the conversation we had this morning, who is doing important work in Brussels. You gave me a lot of insights about what it is to be in the forefront when we speak about international issues with local consequences. Thank you for that, Delphine. And she deserves an applause as well. A policewoman. And thank you. And I would like to give the floor now to Javier Zarzalegos.
Thank you very much, Assita. Usually it's me who gives the floor to Assita at the Libe Committee. Now she's giving the floor to me. So I first would like to start by joining the president of this intergroup in the acknowledgement of those who make this session possible, and those who have been working in this initiative that owes so much to Assita Kanko, my colleague, my friend, and also someone whom I want to thank for her constant leadership and unwavering commitment to those who protect us every day. And also I think we also should express our sincere thanks to Commissioner Brunner, not yet here, but we all know of his strong dedication to reinforcing the European internal security at a particularly challenging moment of our Union. And I would like to address a very special word of recognition to all the police officers present here today. And thank you for your daily service. Thank you for carrying out a responsibility that is essential to our democracies, often under conditions that are increasingly demanding and increasingly risky. When we speak about European security, we are speaking about your work. We're speaking about officers who patrol our streets, protect our borders, safeguard critical infrastructure, dismantle terrorist cells, investigate organized crime networks, and increasingly confront hybrid threats designed to destabilize our societies from within. But also, we are speaking about officers who assist citizens in many different occasions, many different situations in ordinary life, not necessarily related to crime. And also we are speaking of officers who are the first one in dealing and assisting victims of crime. Europe is facing a profoundly transformed threat environment. Hybrid threats operate in ambiguity. They are designed to undermine stability without formally crossing the threshold of open conflict. They appear through the weaponization of migration as a tool of geopolitical pressure, through sabotage of energy and transport infrastructure, through illegal drones over sensitive facilities, through cyber attacks on hospitals or public administrations, and through coordinated disinformation campaigns aimed at eroding trust in our democratic institutions. In all these cases, the first line of response is our police forces. They manage the immediate pressure. They investigate the networks behind these actions. They maintain daily stability, while others attempt to weaken it. For this reason, we must state clearly that the police are today a central pillar of Europe's security architecture. It's always been, but now I think we have to underline this. But the central role comes with growing exposure to risk, physical risk, as violence against officers is on the rise, operational risk in increasingly complex and politicized environments, digital risks as officers themselves become targets of harassment and online intimidation, and psychological risk resulting from constant exposure to high-pressure situations. This is not an ordinary profession. This is a high-risk profession. And that is why today I once again call for the formal recognition of police and police work as a high-risk profession across the entire European Union. This recognition cannot depend on member states in which an officer serves. It cannot remain fragmented or uneven. Exposure to risk is a shared European reality, and recognition must be shared as well. Such recognition must translate into reinforced legal protection against assaults, appropriate working conditions reflecting the dangerous nature of the mission, structured psychological support, and technological resources suited to 21st century threats. We cannot expect our police officers to confront hybrid threats with outdated tools. And there is also a fundamental principle that must be clearly affirmed. The principle of authority must be respected. When a police officer acts within the framework of the law, he or she represents the rule of law itself. An attack against an officer is not only an attack against an individual. It is a challenge to legitimate authority and to the democratic order it safeguards. If respect for lawful authority erodes, trust in our institutions erodes with it. Defending those who protect us also means defending the principle of authority as a cornerstone of a strong democracy. At the same time, we must fully integrate police forces into our broader strategy against hybrid threats. The weaponization of migration, as I said before, the infrastructure sabotage, cybercrime, and disinformation are not isolated phenomena. And we do know that they are not just theoretical threats. They are very real. They are happening now. They are part of a transnational strategies designed to exploit our vulnerabilities. And we all know that out there are very hostile actors who are always trying to erode our democratic systems. So our response must be equally interconnected. This means strengthening information exchange, improving interoperability, deepening European cooperation, and systematically including police forces in international and transatlantic cooperation against hybrid threats. If hostile actors coordinate across borders, Europe cannot afford fragmentation. And this is a lesson that we have learned. So let me conclude dear chair of this intergroup, dear colleagues and guests, with a very simple reflection. Hybrid threats thrive in ambiguity and in the gradual erosion of trust. A response must be based on political clarity and determination. Clarity in recognizing the central role of police. Clarity in providing them with the legal and material support they require. And determination to defend our democracies against those who seek to weaken them from within. Protecting those who protect us is not a mere slogan. It is a strategic necessity for the future of Europe, and we are ready to stand up for it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, I'm very happy to hear this speech, and you too, obviously. As you see, my colleague and Javier Zarzalegos is very committed to this case, and you raise several concrete points that we need to work on. And it's not just like words. We are really working on these points in the Libe Committee, and there are also upcoming legislative proposals that we are going to work on, and it's really empowering and also pleasant to work in a context where we are aligned in what the objectives are that we need to achieve to protect our law enforcement people. I have like 3 points here that you said about the outdated tools that needs to be improved, about recognizing the risk that is inherent to the job of police person nowadays in the current situations, of having the principle of authority restored, which is also very important, and and several other issues that you raised. And I look forward to continue working on these points with you. I would like to say that I forgot to thank the interpreters. So thank you for being here to translate. And I also would like to remind also myself first to not speak too fast, because they need to be able to follow our pace. You did perfectly, by the way. You're used to it. Libe Committee. Now, I would like to go to our panelists, to our other panelists. I just got a message from Commissioner Brunner. Due to the meetings, he will not be able to be here, but he's someone from his cabinet will join us with the message that he wanted to convey, and he's sending the greetings and support to all of you here. As you know, he's very committed to the work that we are doing. Now, I would like to turn to Mr. Donatas Skarnulis. Mrs. Skarnulis is the Deputy Commander of the State Border Guard Services in Lithuania. He is possibly the person in Europe with most direct experience of the hybrid threat situation that we are in right now. Colleague Dupont and is going to join us later, and colleague Malik Azmani as well. When they're here, they will also share their insight. But when I went to Lithuania, a couple of weeks ago. I don't remember the exact date because we did so many things at the time, but was it November? So I went with my colleague Lena Dupont, who is vice president of the Intergroup, and some of our staff. Yanis was there and Peter was there as well. And we saw directly what you were telling us about, together with my colleague Viruga, Mep Viruga, who is also in the room here, who is from Lithuania. We saw the images of migrants being pushed across the border from Belarus into Lithuania, into the EU then. And when we were at the airport for our return flights to Brussels, guess what happened? I was even already in the plane, and we had to get out of the plane because the airport was going to be closed. And you know why? Because the smuggling balloons were sent into Vilnius airspace, and it was not safe to fly. So it was snowing. We found a solution. My colleague wasn't in the plane yet, but I was already. And so I will give you the floor. It is a very concrete situation that you are facing there. Mr. Skarnulis, please take the floor.
Good morning, Your Excellencies. Good morning, dear participants, colleagues. Probably I will start my presentation. Welcome. It is a very pleasure to be here. It's a huge privilege to be here to present our experience, what is going at our external borders. As what mentioned, I am from authority agency which is responsible for border security. And I will present the situation what we faced in the past, what we are facing nowadays, what kind of developments, what kind of measure we took. So it's really very huge privilege to be here and present. And just I would like to know what need to say to move my presentation or with some. Okay.
So you have like someone is dealing with the PowerPoint or not? It's okay. It's you.
Okay, thank you.
So you
just
okay.
I will say next.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. That's great. Thank you.
I'm starting to talk about hybrid threat, what we faced in the past, and I would like to remind that in 21 we faced with instrumentalized migration from Belarus side, and on this slide you see how it looks, and just numbers show what kind of pressure from Belarus side we met, and just to imagine and talking about irregular migration in general, I would say that we never had like a problem in our region. Like irregular migrations, and you see during 5 years we apprehended only 400 of migrants from the eastern side, but when it comes to 21, and I would say all hybrid attacks, all behavior started from Belarus side since 20 of August, when election was stolen from Belarus citizen, and in the middle of 21, when a sanction was established again, Belarus side's artificial migration flow was created, and it was sent to our first of all was sent to our country, to Lithuania, and it was way how to destabilize our country, but not our country as well, but all European Union country. And when we stopped this flow, some decision was taken in our country. This instrumentalized migration turned to Poland, later on to Latvia, and you see how many migrants in 21. And one decision it was taken to close the borders. I just will say how many migrants per day we met. 300 of migrants per one day, and in different place. They started to cross our borders, and prevented later on we more than 8,000. So next, please, slide. Yeah, and you see on the picture how it looks in reality. We didn't have some physical obstacle how to manage this flow, how to stop this instrumentalized migration, and we very fast built physical obstacle, even more than 500 during 1 year. Very fast, we covered all our external borders. And nowadays, all our external borders are just more than 1,000 of the kilometers are covered, external smart surveillance systems, and 24/7, everything what is going on at the borders, we see. We avoid any latent activities. And we see all irregular activity, what is involved. We really built very resilient external borders. Our protection level, resilience of our external borders is very high. And when we built this resilience systems and talking about physical obstacle, I would say it never been on our plans, on our country plans. We thinking that only smart surveillance systems will support us to protect borders, and we never plan to build, but you see in previous slide how it looks, and know any way how to deal with this hybrid attack from Belarus side. Just we build this physical obstacle. Next slide, please. And when we built a physical obstacle, and you see how damages in 22 from Belarus side, from agencies, from border guard, we met. And equipment, as you see on picture, like cutting equipment, started to be a normal ammunition detail, part of ammunition for Belarus side, and we would like to show that your efforts doesn't work. And I remember in September even 150 damages, and so you see almost 500 of damages we met from Belarus side. Next. Talking about behavior from Belarus side, lies, propaganda, as well intimidations against our officers started to exist. And just one example, what kind of messages our bodyguard started to receive, and it's here a lot, and we really know that it's from intelligence officers created these messages, and our border delegates, who in previous time we have connection with Belarus side, started to receive some kind of messages from, and it's one of the way was how intimidate our officers to. Next, please. And when it comes about irregular migration, just to finalize this hybrid attack, hybrid threats from Belarus side, just I would like to show that instrumentalized migration exists, and you see on the slide even more than 40,000 attempts to cross our external border. Here is in total in region, talking about countries which is bordering with Belarus. And even Poland met last year, you see 30,000. And this flow or this hybrid attack is not unpredictable, as nobody knows when next day this flow turn to which country. Next, please. And going to the nowadays, what we are facing now is what mentioned before. Very fresh experience here, unfortunately. When we started to be strong on the ground, and talking in general about cigarette smokers, just few sentences to understand what kind of threats our country is facing. That talking about cigarette smokers, just couple things. This in Belarus exists huge big factory which is produce a lot of cigarette, which is totally orientated to black market. And its whole system is not transparent. They do not use track and trace systems. They produce a lot of cigarettes, and all of them are oriented to shadow market. And we have been facing a lot of time with these issues. And when we started to be strong on the ground, first of all appeared drones. We built anti-drone resilient systems. Our patrol who are dealing with external borders very well equipped with anti-drone systems. Every year we brought down more than 50 drones, and just this on our hand when we receive another with this affected going to Belarus side, and when we started to be effective with drones. Another phenomena came to us, and it's balloons. And you see how many balloons in 25 we met. And talking about smuggling, 84% of all cigarettes, what is coming from Belarus, coming via airspace. And the biggest part is almost 60%. They are coming using balloons, and more than 600 it was intercepted. And this phenomena is very dangerous. They affect civil aviation. Next, just a few. Here is our map, Lithuanian. So you see where the balloons landed. They are not navigating just figures waiting some positive wind and just they are flying. And next slide, you will see where they land and how it looks in reality. Please, next slide. And yeah, you see, and our people, our society worries about, and you see what kind of pictures, what kind of reality comes. Next slide. And really, even more than 50 times our airport was closed. But talking about balloons, lot of national effort was taken. We very close cooperate with our military air force. We create we develop some programs. We deal with this phenomena. We detained lots of persons who are involved. But unfortunately, this problem can't be solved, but Belarus side do nothing to solve this to solve this problem. They tolerate this phenomena. They expect they would like to reach some political goals, and so reality. Next slide. Probably I take a lot of time, but just last slide, just talking about our surveillance systems, integrated based security pictures, and what we are dealing together. This our external surveillance systems is very important, crucial important, and we protect our country, we protect European Union country, and just all picture what is coming, all activity, what's irregular. We have some joint threats assessments, and we in close cooperation with our intelligence agencies, and all activity what is coming at the border, we immediately sharing. Can you just few pictures what we met at our external borders? You see some forces with insignia, some electronic solutions, technical solutions with close to our borders, even Wagner, some specific flag from Belarus side, some guys are close to our borders. And thank you, and I will wait for your questions if you would be interested. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Karnulis. It's very concrete, like also we saw when we came to visit you, and thank you for not only your excellent presentation, but also for your contribution in Lithuania to protect our borders, because that is concretely what is happening. I would like to go now to Colonel Roger Hausen, and I will switch also to Dutch for a little bit, but you have interpretation, so you can, I guess, if you don't speak Dutch, maybe you can take your headset, because probably you're going to speak in Dutch. So Colonel Hausen is een defensie-expert met een duidelijke mening over de huidige geopolitieke situatie. Hij spreekt regelmatig over wat België en Europa nu al kan en wat we nog niet kunnen. In ieder geval over wat moet. En hij is duidelijk over zaken die we nog op orde moeten stellen. Dear Colonel, beste Roger, hier heeft het woord. Dank je wel.
Dank u wel, mevrouw Kanko. I will continue in English now.
Okay, well,
Sorry.
That's good to know. Thank you.
Thank you for having me here. It's a great honor. And I would like to start, ladies and gentlemen, with some statements that have been made recently by European officials. The German authorities warn us Russia could attack NATO within 5 years. The Polish security chief states NATO's eastern flank countries have about 3 years to prepare for a Russian attack. the British Army chief, we need to mobilize our nation and our society. The Danish authorities, Russia will be ready for war with us within 2 years. Quite recently, a German general, Russia could invade a NATO country already tomorrow. The top Swedish general, Russia will test NATO's Article 5 soon. And quite recently, Secretary General of NATO, Mr. Mark Rutte, we need to prepare for a similar war as our grandparents between 1940 and 1945. Ladies and gentlemen, the good news is this will not happen. As the Russian armed forces need at least 5 years after the end of the war in Ukraine to rebuild themselves and to replenish their stocks of ammunition and equipment. So there will be, in the meanwhile, no tanks in the streets of Berlin, and we will have no rockets falling on Brussels. The bad news, ladies and gentlemen, that is that Russia is conducting already another war. Another war that started 4 years ago when Russia invaded Ukraine. It's what I call a shadow war. Russia is attacking our weak spot. And our weak spot, this weak spot of our European societies, that's the fact that we are open democracies. We depend on free exchange of people, free exchange of money, free exchange of goods. So we have open goods, so we have open borders. And we are democracies, so we have to play the democratic rules. We have to organize elections. We have to organize referendum. And those seams in our system, those weak spots, are the targets of Russia's shadow war. How does he do that, Mr. Putin? Security and intelligence services identified since the start of the war in Ukraine 124 what we military call kinetic incidents in Europe, which can be attributed with 100% certainty to Russia. And this is, ladies and gentlemen, only the tip of the iceberg. Of those 124 incidents, 89 were carried out successfully, 21 were failed. It concerns acts of sabotage against water treatment plants, railways switches and railways signal houses, or, for instance, our health infrastructure. Assassinations of CEOs of defense companies and politicians. Arson attacks on warehouses and shopping centers. Explosive attacks at railways, tunnels and bridges. Of course, cyber attacks. An extensive disinformation campaign and spying, for instance, using drones. And their aim, ladies and gentlemen, is to weaken us, to destabilize our societies, to influence our Western decision-making process, to cause unrest and fear within our populations, and to degrade our societal coherence. And what's the profile of those perpetrators? And now I'm coming to your area of expertise and your area of operation. These attacks are not carried out, ladies and gentlemen, by Russian agents, nor Russian spies, or Russian special forces. On the contrary, almost all of them were committed by ordinary criminals. For instance, smuggling networks, drugs criminals, gangs of thieves, and motor gangs. And these are what we call spook agents, dispensable warriors. In other words, ordinary criminal activity, such as smuggling of illicit goods or sanctions evasion, intersects with covert and hybrid operations in Russia's foreign policy toolkit. This is the outlook of the war Russia is waging against us. This is their shadow war. 93% of the perpetrators were male, about 30 years old on average, coming from a post-Soviet country, motivated by financial compensation. Only 50% of those perpetrators were aware that their activities were directed by Russian services, as they were hired through intermediaries. 1 out of 3 of those perpetrators had a prior criminal record of previous involvement in illicit activity. In cases where recruitment pathways could be established, online recruitment accounted for about almost 50% of those incidents, with Telegram involved in almost 90% of those cases. Money was the single most consistent incentive for executing kinetic attacks, lowering entry barriers and sustaining participation. To conclude, ladies and gentlemen, this shadow war will be one of your biggest challenges the coming years. And we will have to ask ourselves how to stop and foremost, how to win this shadow war. This will be a very daunting task. Ladies and gentlemen, police officers will become a target in this shadow war as well. In other words, the profession of police officers will become a huge risk profession. Thank you.
Dank je wel voor deze interessante overweging. And thank you for these inspiring and insightful comments. I think it's contributing to set the scene on a way that will allow us to have a proper review of what we need to focus on here. I quickly summarize some of the points that you made, especially the assassination of certain CEOs with the intention to disrupt our ecosystem, and the use of criminal networks. So to commit crimes, this is like the crime as a service model that they're using. You speak of shadow war as well, and of cyber attacks and on attempts to influence our decision making. It is also intimidating politicians and using the cyber threats also to bully people who try to take the right decisions. And you speak about organized criminals, so all these organized crime is something that, when I speak about with officers helper this morning, and when I speak about with police people in Brussels, they're really confronted with this reality, and as we saw also with you in Lithuania. Thank you very much for sharing. We will have time later for questions, so I will also insist that we all keep respect the time that we're using, and everyone is doing it perfectly, so thank you so much for that. Now I would like to turn to our next speaker, if he's still connected. Are you still with us, Mr. Peter Wynn? So I would like to give the floor to Peter Wynn. Oh, thank you. So Peter Wynn is the Acting Chief Privacy and Civil Liberties Officer at United States Department of Justice. As you know, we cannot have security only with the police, but with all the security chain. So this position that I mentioned for Peter Wynn means that he is extremely well placed to comment on two crucial aspects of our discussions today. First, EU-US cooperation on security, because this is a global challenge. And second, the permanent challenge to balance the protection of different fundamental rights, in particular the right to privacy and the right to security. Delphine, you were telling me this morning also that this was a challenge here. So, dear Peter, you have the floor. Thank you for joining us in these early hours in Washington.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And we hear
I'm
you
honored.
perfectly, so don't worry.
Great. And I'm honored to be here and apologize for not being able to be there in person. I'm going to spend most of my time talking about the second topic that MEP Kanko raised. But I do want to begin by pointing out that my office, the Office of Privacy and Civil Liberties, oversees and manages the Data Protection Review Court,
Peter,
which is part of...
Peter, can you just
Yes.
hold on a bit? If you put your headset, you will hear it better in English. Yeah? That's... Okay. So...
It's not for you, it's for the participants.
Can you hear me?
No.
Okay. Are we good? Can I be heard?
So we are good, don't worry, you can continue. I just wanted to point out to participants that they can use the headphone to hear you better, and then I come back to you, so please continue. Sorry for interrupting you.
Yeah, I'll try to speak slowly too for the interpreters. My office is responsible for administering the Data Protection Review Court, which is part of the US-EU data privacy framework that is the basis of the adequacy decision facilitating the transfer of data between the United States and Europe, which this administration has embraced as all previous administrations, understanding the deep connection and commitment of shared values between the United States and the European Union. I did want to talk, though, about the second topic, which is really relates to the relationship between privacy and data protection and democratic societies. Is it just an accident that privacy is characteristic of all democratic societies? Or is there something deeper and more fundamental underlying this connection? We know that authoritarian countries don't respect individual privacy, but we often forget that one reason democracies stay democratic is they recognize individual privacy rights. You can think of privacy as an insurance policy for democracy. But why? Why is this the case? Many privacy scholars point out its role in the development of individual autonomy. And in a democratic society, the people are the sovereign. So privacy is a precondition for democracy. It's a precondition for the development of a private sphere where public discourse shapes policy decisions by lawmakers, which is why in authoritarian countries, they try to eliminate the private sphere and suppress public discourse. But many others point out that more privacy does not lead to better democracy. Privacy needs to be balanced against other public goods, particularly public safety and national security. Public safety and national security are preconditions of enjoyment of fundamental rights. Lawmakers in democratic societies must balance all these competing interests. But what I want to focus on today is that although both sides of this debate have valid points, I think they are both making a fundamental mistake. They assume privacy and data protection on the one hand and public safety and national security on the other hand are a kind of zero-sum game. But it is not true that the more privacy individuals have, the less national security or law enforcement takes place. This kind of trade-off thinking comes from an age when information was on paper, when you could put information in your pocket or lock it up, where individuals could control information on paper and the law protected that control with rights of property. But when information is in electronic networks, as it is today, it is more like water flowing in a river. And when you dam a river up to get electricity, you don't want to be finished pouring concrete before you ask how the dams are going to get upstream. Water is good unless it is in your basement. Information is good unless it is the name of a confidential informant in the wrong hands, who may now be killed. This is where the Fair Information Practices, or the FIPs, principles of data protection come in. They were developed to deal with this new kind of information. They were developed in 1973, later recognized in the OECD privacy principles in 1980, Convention 108, and more recently in Article 8 of the European Charter of Fundamental Rights. But the people who developed the FIPS rejected the idea of privacy as individual control. They argued privacy needed to be reconceptualized as an ecosystem of trust. So quickly, let me summarize the Fair Information Practices, or FIPS. When an information collects information about someone, that person, the data subject, should be told what the purpose of the collection is, and only used for that purpose unless the individual's consent is obtained for the secondary use. The individual should be able to access the information and correct it if it's not accurate, and the institution needs to be held accountable if it doesn't adhere to those principles. But the Fair Information Practices were not designed to give individuals unilateral control over their personal information. They were based on the insight that both institutions and individuals share the same interest in the use of the information. Unlike property, the relationship between individual and institution, where the Fair Information Practices apply, is not adversarial. It's one of mutuality. But the people who developed the Fair Information Practices were also clear that they applied only where there was a relationship of mutuality. They did not apply, and they knew it didn't apply, in law enforcement and national security investigations. Al Capone did not have a relationship of mutuality with the investigators, if you remember the movie The Untouchables. Osama bin Laden did not have a relationship of mutuality with the CIA. The original drafters of the Fair Information Practices made clear that they did not apply to adversarial relationships. This does not create a state of nature where there is no underlying relationship of mutuality. It only means different principles apply. So where do you find those principles? You find them empirically in the actual laws of democratic societies. And this is what happened that led to the development of the 2022 OECD Declaration on Trusted Government Access to Personal Data in the Private Sector. 37 democracies came together at the OECD with data protection experts and representatives from police and national security agencies, and found in the legal systems of all 37 countries the same 7 principles governing law enforcement and national security access to personal data. You needed legal authorizations. Governments access personal data had to be for specified purposes. There had to be legal procedures to get approval, which differed depending on the seriousness of the interference. Prior approval sometimes was required for serious interferences from judges or administrative bodies. There are rules about handling the personal data to maintain its security and integrity. And the data is retained for so long as it's legally authorized and deleted if not authorized for retention. This is needed to protect oversight bodies who can review the data collection and make sure it's been properly used. The law has to be transparent. At the same time, because of the need to protect the integrity of the investigation, while individuals also need sometimes to be prevented from accessing the fact of surveillance. This is all overseen by strict oversight. Likewise, there has to be effective redress, particularly in law enforcement contexts, where if information is used in a criminal prosecution, the individual has the right to challenge it. So why is it that all 37 countries have laws that instantiate these principles, even though their legal systems are very different? We have convergence in fact. The reason is if you don't have these principles in place, the laws that enforce these principles, it leads to democratic instability. What is going on here is the creation of a sustainable ecosystem of trust. When you engage in systems thinking, you can see that privacy doesn't cause democracy or vice versa. The chicken doesn't come before the egg. It's about establishing a sustainable political ecosystem. Eggs and chicken don't cause each other. They are necessary conditions of a sustainable organism over time. And as a matter of historic evolution, privacy and democracy evolved together. Laws implementing the 7 OECD principles are in all sustainable democracies. They are mutually reinforcing and mutually beneficial. We need to stop focusing on conflicts between privacy and national security and law enforcement. That view still thinks of privacy using a property model. But when one uses systems thinking, one can see that they are both necessarily part of the same system. They don't need to be balanced. They are mutually reinforcing. That is why sustainable democracies converged on similar institutional patterns. They are all recognizing that in a sustainable ecosystem, both security and democratic competition can thrive. We can see this at the Department of Justice, where I work. We need legal authority to collect personal information, but that authority is conditioned on the trust of the public and the lawmakers. Trust that we will follow and adhere to the 7 OECD principles and use the data collected properly. The best way to destroy trust is to violate the law. And that is why, for police and national security agencies, protecting privacy is not just a fundamental right, it is mission critical. And that concludes my remarks. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Peter Wynne. Thank you, Peter, for your contributions and also for sticking to the time. I hope you can hear us as well properly. Thank you so much. There is this tension between privacy and law enforcement is something very universal. And it's also one of the challenges when we speak of transatlantic cooperation to fight crime, that we're not aligned in how we deal with privacy. And when I was speaking with police officers here, including today also during our conversation, Delphine, I'm referring to it a lot, you also spoke about this issue. So, of course, it's very important in judicial cooperation as well. We meet that. But if justice cannot work, then the police work is like done for nothing. So we need to increase judicial, to enhance judicial cooperation in Europe and also beyond. And for that, we do need to look at how we can reconcile privacy rights for the individual with the needs of law enforcement. Your presentation and your insights from the U.S. perspective are very insightful. Thank you for that. I would like now to go to other panelists, and then we will come to the room for questions. So this will come soon enough. I will. I have the honor here to have Ms. Catherine Bauer-Bulls to replace Mr. Magnus Brunner. But before coming to you, I would like to go to the police unions. I would like to say that we don't have a lot of time left, so I will go first to Mr. Jochen Koppelke. He is the new president of EUPOL after, as I said, I stole the previous one for my office needs. I needed someone to work on these files with me. Thank you, Peter, for joining me, and you have a good replacer. Mr. Koppelke is also the president of, as I said, of the, EUPOL is the largest police union. I have something here in German, I hope I pronounce this well. Gewerkschaft der Polizei. Was that good? Wow, super. And he can talk to us on behalf of thousands of policemen and women about their day-to-day experiences. And I also welcome in the role other police unions as well who have been in touch with me. And thanks for all the work that you're doing to bring this to the table. It makes us do some concrete work in the European Parliament. After Mr. Koppelke, I will go to the Commission, and then I will come back to the MEPs who are here. And MEPs have less time than external guests because we are used to 1 minute speaking time. Come on. So now, Mr. Koppelke, you have the floor.
Dear members of parliament, especially Assita Kanko, she knows unions as very well, so I'll speed up. Thanks to Malik Asmani and also Verena Mertens joining. I'm a police officer, 20 years on service, 20 years left, so there's enough time to work on. I'm one of the hundreds of thousands of men and women who wear the uniform and turning Europe from an abstract idea into a living promise of safety, of freedom, of trust. When we spoke about before borders and battlefields, we are not merely talking about geographic. We are talking about the invisible lines between trust and fear, between freedom and control, between politician vision and daily reality. And it's precisely on those lines that police officers stand every single day. Europe has taught us that cooperation is not a gift. It is a duty. In times of hybrid threats, shifting digital frontiers, migration, shadow war, and growing social tensions, the police are not just the first line of defense, they are the foundation of every democracy. Because without trust in the police, no European nation can remain truly free. But that trust is not sustained by laws and regulations alone. It is sustained by people who are in the room, people who have the courage to act where others hesitate. Our officers do this every day. We, in Czech, in the Baltics, in Denmark, in Germany, Portugal, and across every border. When a terrorist attack is prevented, a border defended, a missing child found, or a hate crime stopped, we see clearly that safety in Europe has no national boundaries. European security is a police work, and as we know, police work is teamwork without borders. However, there's a truth we can no longer ignore and which has been set up in these intergroups in the past. A police force that were overlord loses its strength. A police force that is not trusted loses its voice, and a police force that is not valued risks losing its future. These are not only national issues, Europeans as well. That is why I stand here today to call up on everyone in the room and outside. Let us give European policing a shared perspective again. One that invests in training, equipment and resilience. One that treats mental health, family balance and digital readiness with the same importance as weapons, vehicles and drones. One that understands that police work, as at heart, is peace work in a shadow war. Because behind every uniform stands a human being, with fears, with hopes, and with a European identity. From the battles of our past, we have learned that peace only endures where people take responsibility for each other and one another. That is what police officers do every single day. Europe must never be again a continent remembered for battlefields. It must remain for a continent where those in uniforms are remembered for their humanity and courage in very hard times. So, dear all, ours is not only a mission to enforce the law, which is quite impossible in the European Parliament, it is more a mission to guard the trust on which Europe was built. We stand on the frontier between freedom and fear, and every day we decide which side Europe will on. Let us carry the responsibility together with a courage, with empathy, with a deep conviction that security and humanity do not exclude one another. They depend on each other. Let us never forget the ones who suffer and die on duty. And as we recognize you and know you, you trust us and we trust you in this intergroup, let's face this fear and fight back this organized crime and inhumanity in these times. Thanks for the audience.
Dankeschön. Well, you know, when we sit in the panel, we will learn from each other. Thank you very much, Mr. Koppelke, for your remarks. And indeed, we are sharing these concerns, and this is why I'm very proud also to welcome my colleagues from the Intergroup. Lena is still on her way. Malik is here. He will have the word soon. That we really fought to get it to get it started. And you spoke about a balance to be found between freedom and other and freedom and fear, and also how we make sure that we take the experience on the ground to help have legislation that can help face the challenge. And we hear you, and we are going, as also Zarzalegos said here, we are going to continue working on concrete topics here to advance legislation and protect our protectors. This is what we're going to do. I would like to, in that perspective, also welcome the representative of our Commissioner, Magnus Brunner, who is still in a meeting. So I would like to welcome Ms. Catherine Bauer-Bulls. I hope I pronounce your name well. Thank you for joining us. And to say something before giving you the floor about Commissioner Brunner, when he came to Brussels, fresh out of Austrian politics, we quickly claimed him for our crucial work in the Home Affairs portfolio, and we did not regret it, because last year he was here and gave us a sneak preview of the new European internal security strategy, and we have seen a lot of results. There have been a lot of concrete progress in legislation we worked on, and his actions and that were taken show that there was a real promise for a new horizontal approach to security in all EU policy areas. After the summer, we're expecting new proposals as well, and even before. In the coming month, we expect several pieces of important legislation from the Commission, including Frontex, Europol, on fighting organized crime, on a European secure communication network, and I am now the rapporteur of I've been the rapporteur on the entry-exit system that is now up and running, which is very important for our police people, especially regarding document fraud and also overstayers and illegal migration. There is so much. Home Affairs is one of the most exciting topics now because we can achieve some concrete results. But I will give you the floor, Ms. Bauer-Bulls, to speak on behalf of the Commissioner. Thank you so much for joining us, for stepping in.
Yes, thank you very much, Honourable Member. I'm honored to be here with you to deliver the remarks on behalf of the Commissioner. And ironically, it is that precise entry-exit system that is currently keeping him from being with you today, because he is reporting to his fellow commissioners in the college on the first 5 months of operations of this entry-exit system. And let me just cite one statistic. It has already allowed the member states to stop almost 400 persons who were trying to enter the EU and who were registered as Gefährder, as a security threat to the Union in the Schengen Information System. And this shows precisely your work in protecting our open societies that were already referred to. So on his behalf, let me say that when we talk about the geopolitical landscape today, we often say that it is rapidly evolving. But this week, it feels like an understatement. Every time we check our phones, the landscape shifts again. And it's impossible to predict exactly how and when this will affect the EU's internal security. It could come in the form of more jihadists because of the war in the Middle East. It could come in the form of hybrid threats from the bloc of countries who oppose our Western-style democracy, who oppose precisely those open societies that the General already referred to and that you all work every day to protect. Or it could simply come from the networks of organized crime, who take advantage of all this instability. But one thing we can say for sure, when the threats come, it is you, the law enforcement authorities, who will be and who are our first line of defense against those threats. Your daily work is what protects EU citizens on the ground from whatever threat may come. Therefore, the best investment we can make in these uncertain times is to invest in our law enforcement authorities. And to direct that investment where it counts, it's important to understand the nature of the threats we are facing. Let me start with organized crime. There can be no question that today's criminal networks are more sophisticated and more international than ever before. For example, look at the recent Maok-N operation, which led to the seizure off the Azure Islands of a semi-submersible with 9 tons of cocaine. We're talking about increasingly militarized and globalized networks. They have the technology. They have the resources, which means we must equip our police with the same or better resources to fight them. Next, let us consider hybrid threats. We already heard about the instrumentalization of migration, and in the past 2 years, the intensity of sabotage attempts against our infrastructure has spiked. And we've already heard this morning about the links between those sabotage attempts and organized crime that you all see in your everyday work. Police forces are the ones investigating these attacks, protecting the infrastructure and securing public spaces. To do this work effectively, they need dedicated resources. The same is true of terrorism and violent extremism. Already, we have not seen an increase in large-scale attacks in recent years. But everything we see from the threatscape tells us that the risks are increasing, and it is only a matter of time before more attacks are planned. Moreover, the nature of threats has evolved. We are looking at more small-scale lone wolf attacks, with radicalization happening often very rapidly and mostly online. And most alarming is the increase in the number of minors involved. In fact, 1 in 3 terrorist suspects in recent years was under 20 years of age. And this afternoon, the Commissioner will discuss with major online platforms how they can do more to prevent online radicalization and recruitment of our children online. But it's clear that besides the work with the platform, also you as law enforcement need more resources, including specialized units to counter the threat of minor radicalization. At the EU level, we're doing everything we can to respond, and it is reflected in the internal security strategy, Protect EU, that the Honourable MEP already spoke about. We have anchored a number of key principles in that strategy that we're now implementing. First, we are now mainstreaming security in everything we do. Let me give you just one example that is quite up to date. Today, we will be adopting a new EU port strategy that will have a strong security dimension. And that will include everything from background checks for ports operators to minimum security standards for ports and to reinforced international cooperation. Second, we are securing more resources. Protect EU has been an argument for us to substantially increase our funding for security issues. For the next EU budget, the Commission is proposing to triple the funding for migration, for borders, and for internal security. This should inter alia allow us to have a large expansion of Europol, so that with a new reinforced mandate, the agency can provide the operational support that you and that the member states need on the ground. And third, we are crafting new rules. Now, more than ever, we must give police the legislative tools they need to get the job done. That covers a wide range of areas, from harmonized definitions of organized crime across the EU to new rules prohibiting 3D printed firearms that we just proposed this last week, to allowing for more lawful access to data for law enforcement. To get this done, Commissioner Brunner is making security the biggest priority of his mandate. And he is very keen also to hear your ideas for what else you need to get your job done. We cannot control the pace of change in this geopolitical landscape, but what we can do is this, to make sure our law enforcement officers, that you have the tools you need to confront this change and to keep our citizens safe. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your contributions, also for the good news about how the entry-exit system has contributed to block 400 people considered to be a threat. I'm so proud of this. We did this. This is really great. Janis and I worked on this file, and also all our colleagues who contributed, and from the Commission that the proposal came on time. And I'm really proud to see it is going to, the implementation is rolling out until April.
Yes.
And so we'll continue working on step by step, working on new legislation that can change. So bring the files. We're waiting for them. And thank you so much for this contribution. I will actually resist the temptation now to comment in detail what you share, because it's my favorite topic, and I will reserve it for later when we have the questions or when we have a conversation afterwards. And I will give the floor to our intergroup vice chairs now. Lena Dupont just walked in, and we also had Malik Asmani, who is here. And Lena, I said before you arrived that MEPs have less speaking time than external guests, because we are well trained with our 1 minute speaking time in the Parliament. And as you know, that in the Parliament you cannot achieve anything unless you work across the political boundaries. And in this case, we are fortunate to have excellent cooperation with several political groups. And I will give the floor first to my colleague from Renew, because he was here first, Lena, sorry. So I will give the floor to my colleague from Renew, to Malik Asmani. Malik, you have 2 minutes.
Oh, wow.
That's so nice to say
No,
this.
no, I want to sort of reflect. I count all your minutes for your introduction. No, thank you very much. First of all, thank you very much for the youth presence today, because indeed it underlined also why we are initiating also those meetings, because it's quite important to have this exchange. And I would like also to thank the panelists with their views, and of course Assita and her team for organizing also this event. This much thanks for this. I would like briefly to reflect also what Mr. Housen mentioned about Russia and the shadow war. I think it's quite clear that our interinstitutional rule-based order, rule-based order, is under attack. That our democracy and our way of living is not forgiving. Just in response, referring to international law is, I think, not adequate, and that we have seen also, I think, this weekend. It's all about sovereignty and also protecting others' sovereignty, and for that is needed that we needs to invest in security, and that's not only in defense but also in police, and of course to strengthen our economy. But also, to be honest, the framework, how we work also as an EU, because to put it diplomatically, I was not so proud on the first reactions to Iran. If you look towards those who were also responsible from our institutional side, but also, of course, in the member states. I think we can do better, and we have not anymore the luxury to speak with different opinions, different views. But if we really want to play a strong geopolitical player, then we need to talk with one voice. And everyone knows, I think, that I'm always appealing and defending for a European Security Council instead of the thing what we have now. So I don't excuse people, because it's also difficult to interact and to try to streamline one voice. I totally understand also the procedure answers in the first reaction, but this is not how we can survive. That's my opinion. Secondly, the police cooperation is, of course, an essential element to keep our European ground also safe. Like mentioned already, we face new and innovative threats that we cannot overcome alone. When we talk about threats nowadays, we often think about cyber attacks or foreign interference, but we must also not overlook another crucial element, namely organized crime, and with a special attention also to drug trafficking. It's not only a business model, but it is also indeed a geopolitical instrument to influence, to destabilize our societies. They exploit that instability. They adapt quickly, and they cooperate across borders more effectively than governments sometimes do. And as an MEP from the Netherlands, you can you can understand this also well. I want to refer also to the port of Rotterdam, of course, one of the biggest seaports in Europe, and the Netherlands plays also a key role in international trade, but unfortunately, this also makes it attractive to international drugs trafficking networks. Cocaine from Latin American, synthetic drugs produced in Europe, also in my own member state, the Netherlands, especially also in the Netherlands, I will say, and also the trade in a more normalized drug named what I will want to mention and underline also, that are small things, but it's all quite effective. That is laughing gas, that's Niels oxide. The profits generated by drugs trade through corruption, violence, money laundering, and even destabilization efforts, and criminal networks infiltrate illegitimate businesses, intimidate public officials, undermine trust in democratic institutions because they are also in our democratic institutions. And since the scope is broadening and the criminals have no borders, we need to broaden police cooperation, and we cannot fight transnational crime with purely national strategies. This cooperation in Europe is possible, as shown before in comparable fields. Agencies such as Europol play a vital coordinating role. Intelligence sharing, joint investigation teams, and real-time data exchange are crucial tools. Another example is the cooperation between the Netherlands and Belgium with the protection of our ports. And I'm also quite grateful that also the international port strategy of the European port strategy, as mentioned also today, will be to be published. But we are not there yet, and that is also the focus. What I want to do in the coming months to work also to the drugs files. There will be new files also on drugs, attacking drugs, but especially also on laughing gas, because it seems quite small and easy thing, and people laugh, of course, also about that element, but it's really serious, huge effects, and it's a starter for a lot of young generation to be affected to drugs. To conclude, protecting European citizens is not only about military defense, as already mentioned, it's about safeguarding the rule of law, ensuring public safety, defending our democratic values against those who seek to exploit our openness. And that task begins and ends with an effective and well-supported, like also Mr. Koppelke mentioned, that was also addressing of his speech, it needs to be also well-supported and connected police forces. And that is our ambition, and that needs to be our aim also in this mandate in this European Parliament. Because I work closely to Lena Dupont and Assita Kanko to move this forward. And indeed, Mr. Brunner, the Commissioner, is quite helpful also to present this also as a topic. So thanks for this also. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Malik. I would also like to add to that you are the rapporteur of the new return regulation.
I didn't talk about
yes, but that is, I'm glad you did not, because now we need more than 2 minutes. But I would like to say that for our police, one of the challenges is also people who are staying illegally and who are using underage young people to commit crimes and misusing all the loopholes in legislation. So the return regulation is something that people are really expecting to see up and running. So good luck with that. I would like to go now to Lena Dupont. I will try to give you 2 minutes too. Maybe I will succeed. So I'll go to you. And then after that, we'll go to the room for questions. And I remind that Peter Wynn is still online with us as well. So I hope you can still hear us. Lena, you have the floor. Lena is the coordinator of the Libe committee in the EPP group, and has been the rapporteur, or is the rapporteur of the concept for safe third countries, doing significant work and being also a colleague I can always count on. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks, Assita, and I'm happy to not only let Malik speak first, but also share my 2 minutes with him. So I think I'm not going to repeat all of it, what he had just said, but very, very proud actually to see so many familiar faces in the room, also some new ones here. Thanks massively to you, Assita, and of course also to your team for organizing it and for keeping on track and for keeping everyone on board and for making sure that also the MEPs are flying in and out. As you might have seen, it's a rather busy day for us here today, but of course also for me very important to be here. To listen to you, I would say again, because we did it on numerous occasions, and it has been highlighted already by the previous speakers quite significantly that one of the most important things actually that we need to do at political level, but also together with you, is breaking the silos between internal and external security, because there are basically none when you look at the threat landscape, and that means that we also need to equip you, but also the political level with all necessary tools and means at hand that you can do your job and also, of course, have the political support for doing your job, something that's probably, well, not necessarily more important than the right tools, but also very important and significantly for being able to do your job, on which we all rely, by the way, as society, as individuals, as MEPs, but also as everyone constituting our societies, both at national and European level. So thank you very much for everything that you're doing, and also for keep reminding us on what we can do better, actually, to help you do your job. And for also being in a very close dialogue with us all the time on this issue. I'm very proud, actually, that the Commission has a clearer stance on security policies in this term. I also want to thank Katrien, but also, of course, the Commissioner for that, because we notice, it is noticeable at political level in Parliament, but also at Member States level, but it's also very much needed, because we all see that the dynamic around us is constantly demanding change, adjustment, be it digital, be it in a cyber war, or be it in terms of personnel and financial resources. So we very much, of course, welcome your support and initiative also for helping us keeping up the pressure at political level here. And I think that this is basically, I mean, it has been highlighted as well. The most worrying things actually is a combination of third country, third party interests being played out within the European Union in combination with organized crime and terroristic groups, which is indeed a very demanding challenge, and aside all the other challenges that we are still having. So also thank you for your work there. I'm not quite sure if it's already the 2 minutes, but as I'm also curious to hear your remarks, your questions, your reports, your reactions to what the panelists had said, I'm cutting myself off here and go into the listening mode to what you're about to say. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. As you can see, Lena is the most disciplined of all of us, like always. Thank you so much for your contribution.
Thanks for that. Not so sure, but
Thank you. We worked a lot. I remember our last negotiation was at night until 2 a.m. in the morning in Strasbourg for the concept report you're working on. We didn't fall asleep. We managed to have a deal.
coffee helps a lot.
Yeah, absolutely, and nuts. So thank you very much for your contributions to all the panelists. I would like to go now to the room. Peter, thank you for still being with us. We will have some time now for questions and comments from you in the room. And please always state your name and also your position or organizations. And if you have a question that specifically is addressed to one of us, you can say it. But if it's not applicable, you can just have a general question. And I will collect I will collect most questions before coming back to the panel so that we make efficient use of the time. And interpreters are here. Thank you very much for extending your time until 12:40. Thank you for that. That will help. I would like to say also to not be too long when you ask your question so that you give time to other people in the room as well. I would like to start, who wants to speak? Then I would like to start with the ladies in the front. Sorry. I'll come to you after that. Okay. I go to this to you, and then after that I'll go to MEP Abadia, and then I'll come to you. Okay. Is that okay? Please, go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Corine Slagman. I'm the Vice President for EUPOL and a police officer in the Netherlands. I think with this intergroup meeting, you have really underlined the fact that our police officers are already acting in a shadow war. Thank you. I was wondering, and I'll ask you, Ms. Kanko, as the chair, but this is really a question for all the members of parliament. What concrete budgetary and legislative commitments will you push for in this mandate of the European Parliament to measurably strengthen the ability of police services to deal with these new threats. For example, corruption, as Mr. Asmani pointed out, cyber threats, issues with information integrity and intimidation. To not let this be mere slogans, as Mr. Saraslegos put it.
Thank you very much for your question. I'll take a couple of questions and I will answer your question when I've taken the questions. I will now go to Mep Abadia. Thank you for asked a short question as well. So the word is yours.
Dear colleagues, dear Assita, dear police officers, for those of you who doesn't know me yet, I'm Maravilla Sabadia, Spanish MEP from the EPP group, member of the EMPOL committee and vice coordinator in the Jury committee. I'm very glad to join all of you for this honorable purpose. Listening to the speeches this morning confirms something we already know. Before borders and battlefields, there are police officers. Before geopolitical strategies, there are men and women on the streets, at our borders, in our ports, facing organized crime, terrorism, trafficking, and hybrid threats, often with limited resources, but unlimited commitment. Almost 1 year ago, in the EMPOL committee, I submitted a proposal for a directive to recognize police officers and other public authority civil servants as a high-risk profession at European level. This initiative is not theoretical, it is not ideological, it is based on reality. It is written with police representatives and for police officers. Some of you are here, especially David and Sebastian from the Spanish Police Confederation, because we believe something very simple. If Europe recognizes that security is a strategic priority, then Europe must also recognize that those who guarantee that security assume extraordinary risks. An extraordinary risk requires extraordinary protection. Recognition as a high-risk profession must mean concrete consequences. You take the risks, we must ensure Europe protects you. This is a step forward, but it cannot be the last one. I believe we are in the good path. We need the support from the Commission, hopefully from some member states in the Council, to keep working and getting some results on paper. I mean, security is not an abstract concept. It has faces, it has names. Therefore, thank you very much to all of you for your work, for your service, and for your protection. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your comment and for your support for law enforcement, colleague Abadia. I would now like to go to people from the police. Yes, so you can have the floor, please, briefly say your name and your organization, and then after that I go to the lady over there, and then I come back to you. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm Nicolai Kirlan, and I'm Vice President of European Police Union, who represent almost 800,000 police officers across Europe. And also I'm General Secretary from Union National Police Officer from Romania, representing more than 38,000 police officers. And I'm police officer from 30 years, last 15 years only in criminal group investigations. And it was spoken beautiful and in accordance with the reality European regarding the role of the police in the internal security and Europe's borders. There are many police officers from across Europe here. They are living stories. They are getting stories right here in this room. I'm convinced that everyone wants to see actual results, because sometimes politicians forgot that police officer goes in the places and situations where everybody else go far away they can. And everybody knows that bad people and crime grows when good people allow it. And I think everybody from this room are good guys. This is my opinion. And let me introduce my colleague, because a petition initiated by European Police Union is nearly 3 years old and still nothing has changed. So please, Sebastian, tell more about this. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Nikolai, for the introduction. As you were saying, we represent the Spanish Police Confederation and a member of the European Police Union. 3 years ago, we came to this parliament because we police officers are facing a new reality that every police officer here knows and feels. We are getting more and more attacked. And when I mean attacked, I mean we throw stones at us. They try to ram us over with cars, with boats. They try to stab us with knives. And ultimately, they kill us. And that's a reality in every European country that every police officer knows. That's why we came here to the Parliament 3 years ago and presented a petition, because we know this deserves a European answer. Our petition was asking for two directives. This is the petition we have here, presented in 2023. It was asking for a directive classifying us as a high-risk profession on European level. And the second directive, to classify assaults against police officers as Eurocrimes. After our petition, the European Parliament organized a mission to see if what we were asking for was actually necessary. The report of that mission is extremely clear and strong. We have here the report. It says that both directives we ask for are urgently needed, and it urged the European institutions to legislate in favor of them. The first part, the high-risk profession, has been already presented in the ample committee as an act of union. What we need now is to set a date, to push it forward. As the document of the mission says, we need to legislate now. The second part, the high-risk profession, we are sure that labor rights is not the only part of solutions. We need a European preventive barrier against violence against those who protect the European values. More than our bulletproof vest we have to wear every day, what protects us is the law. And attacks on police officers are not a national problem. We have drug traffickers who enter through Spain, use our Schengen space, and travel through all European countries with the drugs attacking police officers. We have hooligans. We have black blocs who exist just only to attack police officers. And as you were mentioning before, the shadow war, we are the ones who face that shadow war every day. And all police officers here know exactly what I mean, because they feel it. We have normalized this violence against police officers. We need to act now. We already have prepared a technical draft about the Eurocrime initiative. We are sure this needs a European answer, completely sure. And we're here together, and I'm sure we all agree on that. Because every police officer on the street deserves it. We have police officers right now here at the door who defend us so that we can talk and defend our values. And also the families of the colleagues who sadly are not here with us anymore, they deserve it. So it is time to act. It is time to push these two initiatives forward and to protect those who protect us and to protect the European values. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Of course, we fully support this. As you heard also, the chair of Libe Committee mentioned it, the fact that we need to work towards that, but I'll come back to it later. I would like to take more questions from the room. Thank you for sharing this. Do we still have questions? I'll just take all the questions. Just keep in mind that at 12:40, we will not have interpretation anymore unless our interpreters agree to stay a little longer. I think we will not have interpretation anymore, and then everything will be in English. If you have a question that for the topics that Peter Wynn mentioned, you can also ask them. He's still connected as well. Okay, I will take 3 more questions. Okay, I had you over there, and then I will come back in the middle. I'll give the lady over there the floor. Please be brief so that others can speak as well. Just go ahead.
Yes, thank you. for me having this time. My name is Vanessa van den Berg. I'm a police officer from the Netherlands. I'm also the representative for the European Network for Police Women within Europe. And I'm also the president for the union Equipe from the Netherlands. And of course, I have no hobbies, you can understand. So we all can agree and we all know as police officers that police work is passion. We can only do this from a passion from within because we do not do this to become a rich woman or man. But society is becoming more and more money-driven, and everything is costing more money nowadays. And my question to you, MEPs, is how can you contribute to good salary, wages, payment for our high-risk job as a police officer? In all European countries, because I have nothing to worry about, but I know from benchmarking with my other European colleagues that they are being paid very, very badly. And I think this is a very big risk for us all. And I think we need some kind of European minimal wage for police officers doing their high-risk job to have less risk and fight hybrid threats, because also this is a parameter in this. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment and for your question. I would like to go now in the middle to take 2 questions. So you can go first. Yes, and after that you. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Kanko. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jon Rinne. I'm a chair of Finnish Police Union and the president of European Confederation of Police. I want to thank you very much for your great speeches and your effort you have put already to defining police as a high-risk profession. There's a lot of things to do, but we'll continue. Actually, I have 2 questions because you asked questions, not comments. We had the great comments. Thank you for that. We can all assign that. First one is that defining the violence against police officer as a Eurocrime under Europol mandate. What is your opinion about this? We know it's hard. It is not easy. But if it would be, somebody else would have done it already. But now it's our turn to be effective. So what is your vision for that? Second thing is in Eurocop, we all are protecting protectors. We see the violence against police officers as an epidemic in Europe. And as Mr. Hausen said, policing is a high-risk profession already. But we have been demanding a unique data repository, for example, under the Eurostat mandate, for the violence against police officers being defined, for the data to be collected and shared and used for scientific research or training our police officer. What is your opinion about this and what are the next steps to achieve this goal? Thank you very much.
Thank you, and then you, okay, yes, you.
Merci. Bonjour Madame la Présidente, Mesdames et Messieurs les députés, Mesdames et Messieurs les orateurs de marque, nous vous remercions d'avoir invité le CSP, le Conseil européen des syndicats de police. Donc, je suis le président, mon nom c'est Massimo Denarié. C'est le plus ancien syndicat de police d'Europe, reconnu officiellement par le Conseil de l'Europe comme organisation non gouvernementale, doté du statut consultatif depuis 1991. Pardonnez-moi. Aujourd'hui, j'ai écouté des mots. Je suis dans la police depuis 41 ans. J'ai travaillé presque toujours dans la police judiciaire, criminelle, et j'ai été presque toujours sur la rue. Et aujourd'hui, j'ai écouté des mots qui sont de la musique pour mes oreilles. Merci, Madame la Présidente, pour l'organisation de cet événement et merci pour les mots que vous avez dit parce que vous avez bien compris le travail que nous faisons tous les jours sur la route. Et vous avez compris que la protection des droits des citoyens repose inévitablement sur la protection de celles et ceux qui les défendent au quotidien, les femmes et les hommes en uniforme. Si nous voulons un État de droit fort, crédible et respectueux des citoyens, nous devons redonner à la police toute sa place. Cela implique au moins 3 mesures très concrètes. La première, garantir des outils adéquats et modernes, tels que les caméras corporelles, les bodycams, les pistolets à impulsion électrique, les taser, qui protègent à la fois les policiers et les citoyens, en assurant transparence, proportionnalité et responsabilité. Deuxièmement, renforcer la protection réglementaire des policiers, intervenant dans les contextes à haut risque, afin qu'ils ne soient pas livrés à eux-mêmes lorsqu'ils interviennent pour protéger la population. Parce qu'aujourd'hui, les policiers n'ont pas peur d'intervenir lors des vols à main armée. Aujourd'hui, les policiers, ils craignent d'être faussement dénoncés ou que quelqu'un filme l'arrestation d'un criminel avec son téléphone portable et que les vidéos truquées soient publiées sur les réseaux sociaux. Troisièmement, reconnaître pleinement les droits syndicaux et de sécurité sociale, car il ne peut y avoir de sécurité publique sans la sécurité de celles et ceux qui la garantissent, sans oublier les risques psychologiques auxquels ils sont exposés dans l'exercice de leurs fonctions. Et c'est pour ça qu'il est essentiel, et la question que je pose c'est ça, pour connaître la situation maintenant de la proposition d'acte européen déjà présentée, pour reconnaître la profession des policiers comme une profession à haut risque au niveau européen. Nous ne demandons pas de privilèges, mais un équilibre. Nous ne demandons pas l'impunité, mais des outils, des protections et le respect de la dignité professionnelle. Défendre, et aujourd'hui j'ai déjà écouté ces mots et c'est vraiment en musique pour mes oreilles, défendre ceux qui défendent les droits, c'est renforcer l'Europe des droits. Merci.
Merci beaucoup. Merci, monsieur. Merci beaucoup pour vos précisions. Nous n'avons plus d'interprétation à cet instant-ci, si je ne m'abuse, et nous devons également quitter la salle à temps pour l'événement suivant. I will switch to English so that everyone can understand. Now, I will not be able to take some more questions, but please feel free. All the panel will still be here, so just after the event, we can speak. Even after today, we can still continue speaking. We hear you. From what I heard from the room, there are more like wanting to be heard. I see there is so much on your chest, and we're really here to receive it and to do something with it. I would like to do a tour de table to all my colleagues to conclude. Just give 1 minute to each of you, and then, yes, please, because we need to let my colleague come in for his event as well. I'll just go around 1 minute for each of you, but first maybe I will answer the question that Eupol asked me, and then I'll go to you. If you feel like answering a question, just feel free to come in. But of course, we support all the matters that you raised, and we are going to concretely work on that. On Eupol's question on finances and on concrete actions that you asked earlier, first of all, I want every internal security file to answer one simple question. What's happening? Sorry, can I just answer this question and then we have to conclude, and you can ask me the question after, if you don't mind. So first of all, I want every internal security file to answer one simple question. What does this change to the police officer, for the police officer on the ground? This is the main question that every initiative needs to answer. That means, for example, using the new internal security strategy and any follow-up legislation to ensure that Europol can support member states and that police will be equipped with better intelligence analysis, and that we have interoperability and real-time threat assessment on hybrid attacks can be assessed. We also need clear rules on how platforms, telecom operators, and critical infrastructure can operators must cooperate with police in crisis situations, because that is very important to have this communication, including cyber and sabotage incidents, so that frontline officers are not left alone in a legally gray zone. Second, on budgets and capabilities, I will support increasing EU funding to strengthen police capabilities where hybrid threats are most visible. Specialized cybercrime units, digital forensics, counter-disinformation, protection of critical infrastructure, and training for cross-border incidents. And third, but last, I also want stronger accountability. Now, I would like to say also that we must define clear indicators: response time, uptake of training, the number of joint operations supported, or the resilience of our critical infrastructure, because that is really the base for everything against sabotage. And I will use my role in Parliament not only as chair of this Politie Intergroep, but also as rapporteur of the new internal security file as well. I will work on these points, because it's about financing and it's about systems. And where are the gaps? Where are we too low? And where do we need to adjust course? That is how we improve protection for citizens and support for the men and women in uniform. And we do that as a team. Lena, Malik, Javier Zarzalegos, all the colleagues who are here and who are here today, we are going to act as a team to address these matters in the Parliament, because it comes in different files. And so we need to connect on that. I would like to stress that we support all the proposals, and I will give the floor now to every one of you just for conclusion remarks, short, and then we can go and continue speaking outside, if you don't mind. I would like to start with the Commission. Just 1 minute.
Sure, I'll be very short. Thank you very much for sharing your inputs, and I can speak on behalf of the Commissioner to say that he will, of course, use his mandate to support the co-legislators, the Parliament, and the Member States to enable you to continue protecting our societies and democracies as you're doing today. You have his full support, and on his behalf, thank you for your work every day.
Thank you very much.
Notwithstanding that military people and police officers will have different tasks, we will be in the same fight in this shadow war the coming period. So police officers will be a high-risk profession as the military are. Thank you.
Thank you. Shall I go to you, Mr. Scarulis?
Thank you. Just half a minute. What I forgot to say, but it was underlined in previous speakers. Trust and cooperation is very important, and from the perspective when we are talking combating by hybrid attacks and international organized criminal groups. Trust and cooperation, interagency, bilateral, regional cooperation is very important, and we keep as a country, we keep its high level. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. I would like now to go to Mr. Peter Wynne, who is online, and then I will come to the maps. Peter Wynne, just in 1 minute, if you have conclusion.
I'll be very quick. I agree with everything people have said today and wanted to emphasize that trust and cooperation is mission critical. It is also fundamental to maintaining the shared values that exist between the United States and Europe.
Thank you very much. I look to our future collaboration, because there are much going on between the US and the EU. Thank you so much for your time for us today. And I remind everyone it's very, very early in Washington. He has to wake up super early. So thanks a lot. I would now like to go, I will switch now. I'll go to you, Lena, for a quick conclusion, and then I'll come to Malik.
Well, thanks. Thanks also for everyone who posed a question here in the room, reminding us of well, we share the same message and the same approach to your job, to our job here. And I guess it's not necessarily, it's a bit preaching to the choir here, at least in that room, but there are also other people to convince still in this house. And I guess it's it's no secret that indeed there are still groups in the House who do not necessarily see the importance of the topics and the themes mentioned. Shortly on the MFF, I mean, in principle, it's a Commission's proposal so far, and I'm quite satisfied actually with the numbers as such. I do have a bit of doubt still on the governance of that, because I'm not necessarily seeing that it gets easier for those who want to use the funds for equipment, for protection against critical infrastructure, and so on and so forth. I'm not yet convinced if we found the silver bullet here, but rest assured that we will make sure that the most of the funds really go directly and efficiently to those who benefited, who can benefit from it the most. The question on the petition, thanks for raising it again. You know that it's a constant ongoing debate here in the House. I very much remember one of the first Libe committee meetings actually at the beginning of this term, which was interesting, to say the least. But indeed, there is movement. Not necessarily in, let's say, in the circles of patience that we all have, but there is movement, and we will keep on pushing for that also with your help. Which also means, of course, please also stay on our side when it comes to probably also discuss a few things at national level. You also know that some of the amendments, some of the elements raised do not necessarily have a European competence here, which does not necessarily mean that we cannot use the European level also to change a few things at national level, which I think is also what really makes this cooperation and the efforts here really important, because at the end we do want to have a closer cooperation at European level. I guess sometimes we are a bit more ambitious at European level than actually at national level, so we also can work on that a bit. And in the end, we all share the same goal, to provide our security, provide our citizens with the security they're rightly demanding from us at political level, and concretely in action from you. So I think that we really, well, looking for the next year's event, and also the work that we're doing in between. Please always feel free to reach out to us on any occasions in the meantime.
Thank you, Lena. And we have one last map to speak. 1 minute, Malik, and
yes,
then I'll come back to conclude.
I will be brief. No,
30 seconds, Malik, because sorry, we have to.
Yeah,
conclude.
I know. I need to conclude. I'm sorry. No, it's quite clear what the messages are. We are 3 MEPs who are mostly dealing also in the Justice Home Affairs Committee. This is the reason but I'm receiving also the message quite clear on the files on the Ample Committee, and it's our job also to push on those files. We don't have different opinions and different views on the element. And on the question towards my Dutch colleague, but then from the police. Yeah, there's of course an ongoing debate about, to be also honest, to be frank, also on European minimum wage. It's quite difficult also in the position of the Netherlands. You know, this is a quite different topic, yeah, there's a huge range also more in general about salaries. For example, if you compare Luxembourg, the most high minimum salary, more in general. I don't talk about police salaries, but on general. Comparing with Bulgaria, but I fully agree, but maybe we can have also an exchange on this. Europe can have a possibility maybe also to work in guidelines or something like that, and more softer legal perspectives, so that you have some guidelines and tranches, so that you can also push on the salaries, especially in those member states was not really a good salary to take this huge responsible task, because that is what we agree on.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks.
Thank you very much. I'm so sorry I couldn't take all the questions. Thank you so much for being here today. I would like to conclude by saying that we hear you, I heard you, and we can feel it in the room. Of course, we support the proposal to recognize police work as high-risk profession. And as we stated here, it is also a member state competence. We are going to continue pushing for it. Feel free to always reach to us. And I'm also happy to announce today that we are not going to meet only next year, but after this event, we are going to come to your cities. We are going to go first in Brussels on the ground with the police, and then we'll go to Middelkerke, and then we'll go to other cities. So in other European cities, if you want the Politie Intergroep to come like we did in Lithuania, just reach out to me and we will come to you. We want to come and go and see with you what you're going through, but please not everything, but what we can bear. Thank you very much. Thank you everyone. And thank you, Peter. Thank you.